Will Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte and former Defense Secretary Gilbert Teodoro join forces for the 2022 polls? A former lawmaker says so in my interview last Friday, with former Camarines Sur Representative Ropnaldo Andaya Jr. He said that Teodoro and Duterte have agreed to run as independents next year to avoid partisan politics. Andaya added that Duterte will run with or without her father's approval. So is that tandem really a done deal? We now go above and beyond the headlines with Gibo Teodoro himself. Good evening, Secretary Teodoro, and welcome to Newsnight. Let's begin with this, sir. Is this accurate? Now, I'm going to make several statements here. This is not yet a done deal, this Sara-Gibo tandem, and Sara did not say that she is running for certain. At least she did not tell you. And that she did not say, you are my vice president, you are my running mate, because Nonoy Andaya himself says that was his interpretation. No? And he gave two reasons. He said that, number one, Sara did not contradict him and did not leave the room when he said, this is your vice president, this is your president, and because she offered you the chance to be vaccinated. Is that all correct so far, as I've said?
The factual occurrences, I confirm that that happened. However, to be absolutely clear, this is my position on the matter, that after talking to her about the issues confronting the country, we both agree that the health issue facing the country is the first and primary issue. And the second issue is speedy vaccinations as fast as possible in order to open the economy. And I felt that she was focused on the job. I feel that she is an experienced leader with a keen grasp of national and local issues. I felt her sincerity, and I think she should run for the presidency of the country. And if she does, I will be glad to be her vice president in order to help her and to support her.
So Secretary Gibo, you felt her sincerity, you think that she should run for president, but she herself did not say to you categorically that she will run for president, but you are willing to run as her VP, or even you will run as VP even if not with her.
I'm willing to run as her vice president, because I feel that she can gain and garner trust of the masses. She will lead an administration which will heal, wounds which are existing in the country. She will have a unifying agenda. I want to work and help somebody that will have a sustainable agenda that is focused on getting out of this pandemic, of which all over the world, nobody's certain how long it will last, and is also focused on getting the economy of this country open. I want to work and support somebody with a positive agenda and not an agenda probably which will look back and be vengeful. I want a constructive agenda, because our country cannot afford more division, more politicking, more partisan politics. And I think Mayor Sara Duterte has that ability, has that agenda, has that connection to a big number of Filipinos. And I'm willing to help in that positive agenda. I want to be motivated to work with a sustainable agenda.
Secretary, I hear you loud and clear. But yes or no na lang po, sir. Did she categorically tell you that she will run for president?
No, I confirm Nonoy Andaya's version of events. But I again reiterate that should she decide, of which we have to wait for her to officially announce, I'm willing, ready, and will be honored to support her as vice president, because I believe that she will have
and
a
that
focused
announcement
and sustainable agenda.
And that announcement, as Nonoy was saying, will happen in July. But at the same time, are you open to running for president yourself, or would you run for the Senate, or it's going to be VP for you, or nothing at all?
By the way, PI, if I may segue, I'm really happy with the picture you're showing because it shows that I'm back into shape.
Okay.
The size difference in the video is kind of obvious. And I'm really happy and proud of myself that I've been able to lose a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And that goes to show
well,
you
Secretary,
how ready
we're
I
running out of
am
time. So are
to
you?
support
Yeah.
her.
Oo. For VP lang. So you will not consider a run for the presidency or for the Senate?
This is it. Right now, I see a
This
good
is it. Okay.
synergy between her and me. I've been gone for 10
All right.
years through a learning experience in the private sector. And I've learned a lot, actually, in the private sector. My experience was a learning experience, and I can apply that to a person who will have a sustainable and focused agenda of healthcare, getting back on our feet, and sustainable progress.
Yes.
And
Okay.
also, I can be a bridge.
I'm going to try and squeeze in
to
all these
bridge Philippines
questions.
together.
Yes.
Pardon me.
Okay, Secretary, I'm going to try and squeeze in all these questions in the last few minutes that we have together. But you started dropping hints about returning to public life in your social media accounts. You posted graphics of this green check mark beside a 2022 in green also. If you were dropping hints in February, have you had surveys done to check if you will make it this time around? A very brief response na lang po, sir.
Yes, surveys are being done naturally because a lot of people want me to return. My family wants me to return because this pandemic changed everyone. I mean, whether rich or poor, everybody was affected. The world's turned upside down. So
That's
it's incumbent upon everyone to help how he or she can best help. And there are a lot of people who want me to return. And these people are very actively, one of them is Congressman Andaya, very actively helping me return to government in the best way he sees possible and in a heartfelt way. So how can one refuse that call if the voters so decide?
Yes. Oo. Okay, si Nonoy Andaya, sabi na nga niya, presidente siya ng Sara Gibo Fans Club. But anyway, balik tayo po sa Secretary sa 2010. Although admittedly, that's since 11 years ago, the pendulum has swung from Noynoy Aquino, your second cousin, to Rodrigo Duterte, who is father of your possible katandem. No? But in 2010, you only came in fourth as the administration candidate. Noynoy, 15.2 million votes, ERAP 9.9 plus million votes, Manny Villar 5.5 million votes. Very quickly, sir, if you can, no, you hibernated after that loss. So did you try and discern why you lost?
That was, of course, subject to analysis for the first few months. But then I had to move on and try to reintegrate myself to the private sector. And I focused more on that because I learned a lot in the private sector, being 20 years on the government side and now being on the other side of the fence. There are a lot of efficiencies that you can introduce into government, whereas staying in government for such a long time also emasculates you. So perhaps that is one contribution I can make towards making government more adaptable, more flexible, and making it react quicker. And I can give a big picture of a lot of situations, whether geopolitically, economically, and that much I can contribute to our countrymen because I learned a lot from the private sector. And of course, I know the structural rigidities of government. Actually, the problem with the country is twofold. For me, the biggest problem is every 6 years, a new country is born. And I'm paraphrasing somebody else. Okay. You can't have that. Number
Okay.
two,
Secretary,
there are a
yes,
lot of rigidities in institutions in government. We need to build institutions.
True, very true. Secretary, my last question. You were Defense Secretary August 2007 to November 2009, and everybody remembers you most for your performance during the onslaught of Typhoon Ondoy in September 2009. At the same time, because you were Defense Secretary then, 2016, when President Duterte came to power, he asked you to be his Defense Secretary. We never really got it very clear, no? With as much answer as you can muster, can you tell us why you declined the offer to be Defense Secretary?
Because I had just reintegrated into the private sector, and my personal circumstances, among others, would not allow a return to the public sector. But this pandemic changes everything. You know, had this pandemic not happened, then probably I would not. Neither would my family have encouraged me to try my best to offer my services once again to the country, because I was trained in public service for quite some time. And this pandemic really changed everything. And even my family encouraged me to try to offer myself as best as I can to the country. And if this is one way that I can do so, this is one way I can forge through and try to help build bridges amongst people in this country, try to help unify this country, try to have a sustainable agenda going. And of course, I cannot do that alone. I have to have somebody who is more visible to a lot of our voters, especially the younger ones.
Okay.
And this is how best, perhaps, at this time, I can help.
Secretary Teodoro, just sana lang po, yes or no answer. Could you have refused to be vaccinated in Davao, even if politely?
I could have refused. But for me, it was a public service because we were talking about people not getting vaccinated,
the pandemic,
vaccine hesitancy, and wasted vaccines. And so I put my hands into the local health officials of Davao, trustingly, as a symbol that I trust them. I would put my life in their hands.
Well, Secretary Gilbert Teodoro, thank you very much for joining us this evening, and an advanced happy birthday to you. That's next week already. Salamat po, Secretary Teodoro.